Grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem. Thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship.
President Trump taking a victory lap and praising the Supreme Court moments after the justices delivered him a monumental victory. In a 6-3 ruling along ideological lines, the highest court will partially allow Trump's executive order restricting birthright citizenship and curtail federal judges' ability to block the president's policies through nationwide injunctions. It was a blockbuster final opinion day of the Supreme Court's term with a range of opinions released. And here to help make sense of them all is the Hill's courts and legal reporter, Zach Schoenfield. Zach, let's start first of all with birthright citizenship. Now, the justices didn't rule specifically about the legality of the constitutionally protected amendment.
That's right, Judy. Instead, the Supreme Court here curtailing the ability for federal district judges to issue these nationwide injunctions, these rulings that not only block the president's policies for the plaintiffs who are actually suing in court, but going a step further and saying that the president can't enforce these policies anywhere in the country. And this is something that you've seen, obviously, here in the birthright citizenship cases, but we've seen this in dozens of other cases on all sorts of policy issues, even things that have nothing to do with immigrations, including on federal funding and the efforts to, of course, reshape the federal bureaucracy and DOJ. So from that standpoint, this really is a monumental victory for the Trump administration. The administration for months had been complaining about the fact that judges have been issuing dozens of these nationwide injunctions, more than any other modern presidential administration. Now, depending on who you talk to, you get different answers as to why that has happened. The Trump administration believes that judges are overstepping their constitutional authority, but if you talk to the plaintiffs in these cases, they'll say this is necessary because they believe that the president is acting unlawfully and saying that they need these nationwide resolutions to ensure that the plaintiffs' rights aren't violated.
The justice is delivering broader powers to the president during his presidency. Walk us through how this is going to impact the 90 injunctions nationwide.
Well, you can expect that the administration is going to begin citing this opinion in many of those cases. Now, as you mentioned, dozens of nationwide injunctions now in effect. Just to give you an idea of how the view here from the liberal justices in dissent, I'll just read you a little bit about how Justice Jackson today, President Biden's appointee to the court, how she talked about the practical consequences of this decision. She said, "Make no mistake, today's ruling allows the executive to deny people rights that the founders plainly wrote in our Constitution, so long as those individuals have not found a lawyer." So according to the liberals, especially Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, really coming out in force, believing that the majority today is paving the way for the Trump administration to be able to issue these executive orders and then have no ability for the plaintiffs to block it on a nationwide basis.
Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi joined President Trump shortly after these orders were issued, but she declined to answer questions about how exactly they're going to be enforced. What do we know from the administration side of things?
Well, we know that the next phase of this battle has actually already begun following the Supreme Court's decisions. Just in these few hours since that opinion came down, we've already seen the plaintiffs try to go for a round two and again make a new push to try to block this birthright citizenship order nationwide. And that's because even though the Supreme Court today is curtailing these nationwide injunctions, they've left the door open for people to try to file class action lawsuits and get judges to certify a class of people who can then be protected under their rulings. So already since this decision, we have now seen in two separate cases, plaintiffs go back to the trial courts and tell them that they need to certify a class of anyone who would be impacted by the executive order. So if they get their way, this would really still have the impact of blocking this executive order nationwide, even if it's not technically called a nationwide injunction. Now, you can probably expect that this is going to be the next battle here, and now the Trump administration is going to begin fighting class action lawsuits instead of nationwide injunctions.
Several other opinions dropping today, including the justices seemingly punting on that Louisiana redistricting case. Can you tell us a little bit about that case?
Yeah, we have been watching this one now for a few months as it really raises consequential questions about the future of the Voting Rights Act, as well as racial gerrymandering claims under the 14th Amendment's guarantee of equal protection. This dispute comes out of Louisiana, where Louisiana has now added an additional second majority black district. They did so after a court in an earlier phase of this case said that when, after the 2020 census, Republicans in Louisiana, they tried to pass a map that just had one majority black district. Lower court said violates the Voting Rights Act, so they tried to go ahead and add this second majority black district. And now this lawsuit that the Supreme Court had been hearing was filed by a group of non-African American voters who said that, when they added that new majority black district, was unconstitutional. So we had been waiting to see what the Supreme Court would say on this, how far states can go when trying to fix a Voting Rights Act violation before it becomes unconstitutional. But this decision, which I got, here in front of me, is not really a real decision. The court instead saying that they want to hear more arguments. So we're going to have re-arguments in this case next term. We're going to do this whole cycle again. But at this point, the justices haven't explained exactly what these new arguments are going to be about and the question presented. So we're still waiting to get some more news, but no decision yet. But this case is not over yet.
We're going to do it all over again, you're saying. What else today caught your eye at the Supreme Court, Zach?
I think some of the dissents here from the liberal justices, of course, they don't stream their announcements of these opinion announcements in the courtroom, but they do take the bench and actually read summaries aloud. And in addition to the majority opinions, the majority author always reads their summary aloud. But when a justice is in dissent and they want to really stress that they disagree with the majority's decision, they can choose to also read their dissent aloud from the bench. And today was the second and third time that happened this term. Both Justice Sonia Sotomayor reading 2 dissents aloud today, and quite lengthy, I should note. Spent a lot of time reading those dissents and really chastising the majority. And I think just goes to show how some of these deep divisions are on the court right now between the conservative and liberal justices.
Lots of complicated legal cases. You always do such a great job of breaking it all down for us. Zach Schoenfeld, thanks so much.
Thanks, Judy.